So this video is just going to be covering some early game tips on Project Zomboid to the best of my ability and information I've gathered when playing the game. And with that, if we come, a very important part of the game is picking your occupation and traits. We are going to mainly just focus on traits themselves. Before we get to positive, let's come down to negatives. When you see traits like Sunday Driver, never pick Sunday Driver. This is because when you're using a car, there's some situations where you're going to want to have enough horsepower, especially if you're off-roading, to get away. So this is kind of a noob trap, if you will. High Thirst, I personally like it. It doesn't really bother you too much. The only time it can be a problem is when the power goes out in the city and you need water that is unlimited. And then with Slow Reader, I generally just find this to be a good one, especially since reading already takes a while, and it wouldn't hurt for extra 2 points for like a combat perk. It just makes it a little bit more tedious, but the speed up button is not bad. Weak Stomach. Okay, once we get to Weak Stomach, we have like Prone to Illness, Weak Stomach, all that and Slow Healer. On paper, these seem really bad, but they're good because this game, if you know how to avoid, getting sick, getting injured too badly, these traits are kind of freebies. And what I mean by that is, as long as you avoid it, you have no downsides of picking them. So that's why generally I'd recommend picking like Weak Stomach, Slow Healer, and Prone to Illness, because if I'm already, let's say, needing a lot of healing, I probably did something bad happen that I could stop. So this is the better skilled you are, the more and more valuable these negative traits become for extra points. And then Slow Reader, so Slow Reader, that's just kind of a little extra tedium, which isn't too bad. Speed Demon, from what I know, I'm pretty sure it increases your gas, how much gas you burn when driving, which give or take. Perks do get buffed and nerfed throughout update to update. That happened to Smoker, which became much worse as update, I believe, 42 came out. But if we come down, we have all these traits. And what I'd personally recommend that's worked best for me is Stout. I generally believe is a stronger version of the trait Strong, just because it gives you half of it and makes it so you have increased carrying weight and extra knockback with melee weapons, which is just nice. And then a lot of these are kind of just give or take on what you're trying to do. The traits I wouldn't recommend, honestly, all of these aren't bad, at least to what I know, but some are just not too great. But what you need to know mostly is what you really want to pick when it comes to negative. And then with that, one last thing you should know with occupation, some occupations, some have hidden stats. So if you read the script and it's like, oh, +4 blacksmith, blah blah, it could also be like, oh, you also have a higher chance of like finding stones on the road, that type of thing. And what you need to know about occupations, they give you buffs, of course, but they also they depend on your starting point. So if we do blacksmith, if I remove all traits, blacksmith starts you at -6, burger flipper +2, -6 for burglar, and -2 for carpenter, and so on. You just have to look through. The only ones I wouldn't recommend is Doctor, because again, it's kind of like the Weak Stomach and Slow Healer. If you know what you're doing and you're careful, you won't need to have a high first aid skill. And then for stuff like construction worker, this is good because carpentry, long blunt, maintenance, short blunt, all good. Masonry is just not, I don't know, it's with it too much. It's only good if you're like building a house from scratch, but even then, it kind of find it struggles to find its purpose. But for today, we're trying to go custom, so as we said, we're going to pick at least I believe are the best negative perks. And since we have no occupation, we're not losing any points to the specifics, so I just like doing this occupation instead, or I guess the lack of thereof. And then if we come here, I'm just going to do Stout, and I'm going to do Handy for the extra carpentry and maintenance. I still have 5 points, which I guess I can just put into here, charging. We will become we'll be a crafty and a wither, yeah. Again, I wouldn't recommend this for what you'd want. Pick whatever you want, truly. This game is for you to have fun and not for what's the meta. So once you got your character, do whatever here. I'm just gonna make my own guy. Then we're gonna press play. This is quite long, so I'll just see you in a moment. I'm just gonna cut. Okay. So once we're in the game, there's multiple things I like to do. First, I look around, see if I can find anything of value. Skill books, rags, etc. All you're gonna want in the early game. Bandages was actually a really good find. Having bandages always really nice. Tweezers, grab them. Their painkillers are good to grab. Oh, also I forgot to mention. So if you go to the TV, go to device settings, and turn this down. Turn down to 2, I'd recommend. It'll help. It'll still allow you to learn like I am and keep it so his eyes aren't attracted to the sound. And we are currently tuned into the Life and Living TV, which all you need to know is for Life and Living, which is the only channel on the TV that can teach you skills. Like it just taught me cooking, and still is. It gives a really good XP. I would recommend always doing it. What happens is at 6 a.m. a show plays, and it's probably 6:10 right now. So that was the first at 1 is the cooking show. Then at midday, at noon, there will be the carpentry channel, which is, I would say, the most important. And then after that, I believe, I forget I think it's like a bonus one, or just a randomly chosen one at 12, at like midnight. This sheet, I'm going to show you how you can easily get one instead of rely on that. So basically, you have to come to these currents, and I wouldn't do this unless if if this is going to be your permanent base for early on, or at least your temporary base, I'd remove the currents. And what happens is we get a sheet, and if we go down here crafting, there's no requirement to do this. You don't have to be skilled in anything. You can just make a sheet sling bag. And I would recommend only making this. I would say just make it right off the get-go, honestly. The only time I'd replace it is if I find a better backpack, which I have thus not found one yet. So yeah, we have our sling bag, which can hold 10. So that's in total you have 25 points of carrying capacity, but it only reduces the weight of things by like 70-ish%. So it'll still add to your main weight, but not nearly as much as it would be in your main inventory. Okay, and then there's stuff like bread here. This can go bad, so always remember. What I recommend is eat perishables first, because perishables you should eat those first, and then save your non-perishables for later when on your last rations. Yeah, this is what you'd want to like save for last. It won't go bad for a while, or I don't even know if it can go bad in the game. And then I wouldn't grab too much of this meat. You can grab however much you want. I don't want to carry too much, but especially in the early game. But for this example, I guess I'll grab it. We will need to find a fridge to put this in. So once you grab those, we have our food, we have our sling. Oh, before we do leave the kitchen, it's probably good to at least find a weapon, because when you don't have a weapon, you can only push, you can't punch or anything. So we just need to find a basic weapon. If we can't, it's not the end of the world. We can still leave. Yeah, but it doesn't look like there's anything. But what we can do is either by taking pants like this. Don't take denim, because those are denim scraps you can cut out, not rags. But yeah, we can take clothing and rip it up. These can be used for makeshift band-aids. They're just nice to have. And we can do the same with the sheet, and the sheet can be turned into many. And it can also be turned into a tie sheet rope. So yeah, we can also cut this up, and this will give us about, I think, about 10. So now if we look, we have 13 rags. And rags can get dirty if you use them as first aid band-aids, which you just gotta replace them. But it is realistic where once you take it off, you have to quickly put another on. So we got a little unlucky there, and we couldn't find a weapon. So we are just gonna look around. Sadly, it's also foggy out, and this is kind of let's see. So when you see doors like this one isn't budging, sadly. I don't think you can pry those open. We should look around. There is what looks to be a car barn or garage. And we have a car here. How it works, if I'm not mistaken, is if there's zombies around this car and you kill them, they have a set chance to drop keys for the car. So if you ever want to try to get a car, just kill zombies around it and you might have a chance. I think, yeah, this window looks like I could open it. So some windows like that will just open easily, and others your character will try to open it multiple times. They'll yank it, and most of the time, at least for me on the normal difficulty, it works. But sometimes you hear like a click, and it means it just won't work. I'm just gonna take a sip here. Your guy will say if he wants a sip. Look for books. Finding skill books is a very important thing, especially since it gives you XP multipliers, which come in very handy. Again, you can take these. Popsicles are nice since you don't have to cook them. I just like grabbing small foods like that too. And if we're lucky, we will find a knife or any other weapon. Which, yet again, we haven't found anything yet. You know, the umbrella is going to be our best weapon for now. And also this leather jacket, we don't even have a jacket, so might as well wear it to give us protection. Which if we look here in protection, gives us pretty okay bite and scratch protection. It won't be great, but it's definitely better than nothing. And then for zombies, what I like to do is we're going to take the umbrella, we want to do it with both hands, it's fine. So we're going to hit it, push. You don't have to do this certain order, but you just have to make sure he falls over. From here, he can't get up as long as you stand on top of him, and you want to hold right click while pressing space to stomp. And as you saw, as long as you're positioned above the head, it only takes 1 or 2 stomps on the head. And also, if I were you, even if you are worried about dying, just getting the practice of fighting, especially against multiple zombies, is invaluable. Just I would advise you active when it comes to fighting. Yep, so that's dead. Usually, sometimes they die quietly, sometimes there's a mini explosion of whatever you knock out of their head. And, yeah. And one thing you can do is you can loot zombies. Mind you, see how it's dirty? If we turn this into rags, they'll be dirty rags, and we'll have to wash them in a water source, or with our water on us. And the last thing I'm going to say for this, these tips and tricks, essentially, there's a search mode, which, depending on your level in forging, gives you a radius, and it points out stuff like that you might normally miss. That was more of an obvious example, though there are times. It's great for finding bugs, you need uses for that, and I use it to find flint early on that can be used for carving, which only is one of my traits, so it'd be useful. And if we're lucky, some zombies will be wearing watches, and once you equip it, if you get digital, it can show you time, temperature, and the date, and then if you find classic, it just shows you the time. But with that, guys, that's all I have to say. If you guys want more videos like this on my tips and tricks, just leave a comment and like and subscribe.